Hello, my Cat Tarot friends. This is Cat, and this is like my introduction to the X spread, which we're going to actually look into today. So please, if you haven't been here before, or if you've forgotten why I'm doing this, just spend this couple of minutes to view it. If you are already familiar with it and you're following the series, check down in the description and you're going to see the link that you can click in and just move on to the reading for your sign. So what is this? Every sign is going to have exactly the same header. These are just the chapters. Just imagine like in a school, you have to write an essay and a teacher kind of gives you, well, these are the chapters you need to cover. I have developed this spread. I call it Cat Tarot Knows X spread, but I'm also applying this to relationships because for relationships and people who need to inquire, I will just remove the knight and I'll put a king. Also, if there are two women, I would put two queens or two kings or two knights, depending on who is the couple, who is the person inquiring. Since many of you who are listening this X spread ask me to do this reading for them, I'm actually putting it on a special, so check it out on my website www.cattarot.ca. under book your reading, just scroll it down to basically X spread. Also, if you are on and off relationship, this is going to be spread for you, because what it does, it gives me slices through the past, through present, that I can actually connect and check what might happen in the future. So why am I choosing these 7 cards? It kind of really, I spent lots of time getting to this, so it was not an easy process, but each of them is giving me a category that I want to figure out in order to figure out how your relationship works, and if can it work at all. Sometimes the most beautiful couplehoods just don't work out, and sometimes you see couples that you're wondering why they are together, and I think the 7 categories are going to explain that for me. So the very first significator, the magician, in this category, I'm going to find out what are the tools you're given as a relationship. For example, if you're baking a bread, you need flour, you need salt, you need sugar, you need yeast, you need baking powder, I don't know, eggs, and then you can put extra ingredients. You can put raisins, you can put cinnamon, you can put seeds, right? So what if you only have water and bread? What if you have all the ingredients and you don't have water? So if an essential ingredient is missing, no amount of work is going to make this possible, right? So I'm actually trying to see here if this relationship was ever a starter. So the second card, Temperance, I am using that reversed purposely, because in the upright situation, Temperance is basically turning you into light. Everything can actually be made in this situation. Like there is a growth, there is a connectivity, and you see the angel is putting 2 different things together, just like 2 people have to come together. So when this usually comes in a reading and talks about moderation, balance, okay, the couple got together. The reason why I'm in this category looking in the reverse situation is because I do want to see what is unglued in this relationship, because that glue kind of sticks us together even if we have bad times. So these kind of like are categories that really have to be looked at if this is a starter. Now this is going to be one significator for one partner, and this is going to be a significator for another partner, and this is going to represent the energy and the communication and connection between the two. So how he sees you, how he sees himself, how she sees you, how she sees herself, right? And what's going on, what's kind of like attention, what's kind of expression, what kind of love is in between is going to kind of come in these categories. The Judgment is one of my 4 karma cards, and I really want to see here, okay, with all things given, how did you make that bread? How did you make it work up to this point? What is karma saying? Are you fulfilling the promise of this relationship? Is karma saying run? Is karma saying stay? Sometimes you get really surprising results, because sometimes the connection is karmic and people are supposed to kind of fulfill their contract and fulfill their destiny. And the very last category is very pragmatic category, and this is the one you want to know. Hey, are we getting together? Are we not getting together? Is there a next step for this relationship? What is the quality of this relationship? Keep in mind that sometimes I will tell you, yes guys, you will get together, but sooner or later you're going to run into different problems, and you have to work on that. So when you take a private reading with me, I kind of discover all of that. So let's jump into your own readings and let's go from there. Hi Taurus, welcome to your October. Is your ex coming back? So let's see what is in store for you. So before I start October, I'm just going to see the situation and see where is our starting point. So the toolbox, the Emperor, that's pretty good. Kind of like maybe this relationship appeared to actually have a certain level of stability, and we know stability is kind of like really important to you, and having a control of situation. You are being a fixed sign, so something kind of like really worked out well on that end. However, maybe this connection was too emotional for you, or maybe on the other hand you kind of like wanted a weird mix between, okay, I'm sitting on the throne, kind of like divided, kind of old school kind of relationship, right? Maybe you wanted to improve quote unquote your partner. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Queen of Wands is coming on Queen of Wands. Kind of like you were really yourself in this relationship, right? Because guys, these are significators from a different deck. We have the same cards in this deck as well. So this is really good. This is who you basically were, passionate, but maybe kind of like you were not perceived this way, or maybe emotionally there was like not expression for some reason. So we will see. Look at that. The communication kind of like was really not focused on where are we going with this. How about them? They were in some kind of pain. That means, listen, certain things just have to stop. There is some kind of suffering here. This transformation has to happen, but kind of like it was not letting go, or feeling that they need to hold on to something. Maybe these two were two different people. Maybe this partner was holding on to somebody else and feeling like, well, I'm the emperor, I get to choose what I want to choose, and not realizing that their own suffering and their own kind of like fixedness. Mind you, that can be you guys, because you're fixed sign. You're kind of like, really, when you want something, you want it, you're like just like really sinking your teeth in. And I know I'm a fixed sign. It's kind of the best and the worst of fixed signs. You kind of like, you accomplish certain things because you're staying the course, but also sometimes we are overstaying the course, right? So let's see what the Judgment is saying. Okay, the third party right now, it's really appearing. So there was no balance, there was no giving and sharing. One party was getting more than the other party, that's for sure. And look at that. So there is a couple that is no longer a couple. So this kind of was a breakup, possibly with another person involved, or maybe you were the person who broke a couple, or maybe you are the new person after the couple broke up. And still, this is maybe not a third person, but this kind of like spirit of that relationship is still kind of hovering. So let's come to October and let's see what will be happening up to October the 10th. And there you go. So the toolbox is saying something sloppy. You guys, you cannot make this bread if it's kind of sloppy. Do you really want to have a sloppy relationship? So what needs to be glued? Look at that. 3 was reversed, now it's 2 reversed. Kind of things possibly need to kind of go backwards for you, because the level where you're at is like not going forward. So just what needs to be done is like kind of like take a step back and see kind of what worked, what didn't work, kind of like do this reassessment. As far as you're kind of being seen that the timing is wrong. It's like, you see, you have this Temperance reversed, and it's just saying, okay, so wait a minute, why is something cannot glue here? Maybe you are seeing that timing is wrong for you. Kind of something is not in aligning, not the right time, not the right place, not the right person, not the right situation. One of them is enough to kind of like take this apart, or maybe even more than one. And there you go. That is like, that's the honesty about the situation. And maybe it's going to be communication about this. Look, I kind of like don't see these goals anymore. I don't see us going in this direction. And this is kind of talking about fairness. It's kind of almost clinically approaching the relationship. It's like, look, I was really hoping I can continue being myself, but I'm just feeling that there are too many players over here. And your partner, out of pain, maybe out of self-protection, or maybe even out of not really truly understanding themselves, they will lie. And they're maybe even lying themselves. So this kind of like, okay, corral over here that you have, it's not going to result into kind of this discovery of the facts, because, you know, that's why this Temperance is showing up. It is not aligning, because this person is like still suffering. But look, the karma is saying insist on it. It's kind of really important to insist on this truth. This also person could actually have a child in this union, and this is maybe what is the issue. And yeah, there is like no happiness. It's kind of like pretending to be happy, or, you know, maybe somebody else's happiness. Maybe it's being envious of somebody else's happiness, but certainly putting that happy face and everything will work out. And yeah, they're suffering, and this is kind of self-protection. So let's see from the 11th to the 20th of October. Wow, the Hierophant after the Emperor. So there is the understanding that, you know, commitment to something is no longer there. So we'll see to who. You see, that's kind of like this feeling of being let down, or being hurt, or being backstabbed, or maybe this is you thinking, okay, this person is not going to commit to me. They want only kind of their own ideas, and they're not even honest with themselves. And look at that, that's really great, because realizing that is kind of like giving you ability to kind of realize that the worst is over, that, you know, they can not hurt you. You can only hurt yourself by staying in a relationship that is not productive for you. Because star actually foretells healing, and saying, look, I kind of like have to follow my own star. I have to see, you know, that what is worse of spending, like, I mean, 2 years and 2 months with someone, well, 2 years, 2 months and 1 day, because kind of like this process of healing has to start taking place. It's a very, very important card, right? And look, there is like some communication about this. There is a card of the teamwork. It could be a third party as well, but this is no longer a feeling of pain. This is kind of like saying, okay, I have to figure out what works for me. You are like basically the earth signs. You see, these two cards actually really are related, because one talks about the expertise. One says, okay, now I've trained you, you have to do it my way, and by doing this my way, I want you to be as good as I am. And this person saying, I'm just going to do sloppy work. They will not notice it, but they did notice it, and hence things didn't work out. You were not sold that kind of like a great grand story. So there is like this sadness. They're still not able to shake it off. Your mate, your partner that you're asking about is really involved into some things, not realizing, look, they're like two cups behind your back. You just have to turn around. You have to shake it off. You have to move on, because look at this. This is 3 over here. This is where they are. And it's like also this could be a judge, it could be some kind of legal issues as well, and this actually could be a divorce that they are going through, divorce with kids. Karma is saying, look, there are so many misunderstandings here. It's kind of really hard to communicate with someone who is in so much pain. This is also talking about establishing boundaries. Look at these 2 5s. I don't know what is like in these readings this month. These multiple 5s and 7s are usually really showing up almost everywhere. And ultimately, look, there is like this feeling of, okay, you know, I have to go deep inside of myself. I have to figure out for myself what's going on, what's not going on. So we have one karma card here. So obviously, you know, you have played a really big role in this person's life. You're putting this person on their path. Whether or not you're realizing this, but also this person is putting you back on your path. But believe it or not, it's actually harder for them than it's for you. And lastly, let's see the last decan from the 21st to the last end of the month. So there it goes. You're kind of clamping up. You kind of are really figuring out things for yourself. And this card talks about building walls, right? When we build walls, it's of course out of self-protection, right? We are trying to figure out how, you know, we can make things work, that we are not getting hurt in the process, which kind of goes without saying, right? But the truth here is that what if there is something that is festering and you're kind of like blocking this? That is like, I mean, a feeling of a pressure cooker, right? And this will manifest sooner or later. So you kind of like really have to think through about that, right? So it is possibly just kind of disassociating from the situation. Oh, so there is like this still sexual connection. It's kind of like, even though the healing is taking place and this is kind of like spiritual moving forward, there's like this still probably going through your heads, oh my gosh, I really like when she hugged me or he hugged me. But it's also understanding that you kind of have to break out of this kind of feeling. This almost like feels like addiction to this person, right? And also it could be understanding, look, the person is a cheater. Whether they cheated with me or with anybody else, this is what it is. And kind of like try to figure out how to make things work differently for you in the future. There you go. You're kind of insisting on your own standpoint and kind of like being stubborn, Taurus. Look, I'm again protecting my heart over here, but I really don't care anymore about any of your opinion. This is like another 7. I told you 557. We are having this showing up here as well. And it's kind of like the end of the road. 9 of Wands talks about a wounded warrior who kind of been through the battle, who has been defending himself, herself through the series of events. And it's like, okay, look, I survived. But right now, to continue, I really need a better strategy. And looks like what I had kind of like was really not workable. And look at that. They kind of like, I'll be telling you, well, you're the perfect woman. Look at this. Now we have the Empress and the Emperor. So again, we have a couple that is no longer a couple. So I think this is the hardest thing to let go over here. That kind of feeling that kind of like this kind of has been almost perfect, that it was really important connection. And the Empress is also a mother, that maybe they're connected to the children, right? To kind of like that unit of the family that kind of like now fell apart. And look at that. It's kind of, they're fooling themselves. The Magician reversed is a person, again, just like here, telling anything. These are a whole bunch of lies. And the worst part is like you're lying themselves into oblivion that certain things are. And that's because there is one partner here that is like extremely stubborn, kind of like, it is my way. And look at this, guys, Taurus, this is really good, because after all, it is a time to start kind of moving forward, and this is a direction. It's a kind of a direction of a test. It's a test of something unknown. So you have to open up, you have to resolve these things, you have to be on your own, or, you know, kind of try to figure out really you know, how in the future you would want things to actually work for you, because this kind of like takes your life upside down. And this is saying, look, everything here that you've been through is a test. It was supposed to push you back on your path. So you have to look at it from that perspective, because one person really has to finish the suffering and kind of understand the position, the new position they found themselves in. The other person has to understand that certain things and certain people can be addiction. And maybe this is not love. Maybe this is just a really good sex that kind of has been addictive. And it is not about so much right or wrong, and he is somebody's boyfriend, somebody's husband, she's somebody's wife. It is more or less about what is right and wrong for you, for your moral standards. Because that's why this King of Swords is showing up here saying, look, let's see what kind of is right for the two of us here. And if we cannot find a language which kind of is the same principle for both of us, as we see here, there is no give and take, then this just cannot be, right? So guys, this is general. This might not be your situation, and contact me for your own reading. This is on a special still for $50, and you can check it via my website, www.cattarot.ca. And also, if you're a new subscriber, really, subscribe, you're going to be the first one to get the new releases. And for the old guys, the ones who are supporting me, just thank you one more time. And also, you know, your comments are more than appreciated. You know that I read all of them. So I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. And until the next time, Taurus, you know that I love you. All the best.